Did you know that the spiritual path, instead of bringing only peace and clarity, can actually increase suffering and loneliness? That's right. As you awaken to new realities, you begin to see the world in a completely different way, and in the process, you might feel more lost than ever before. In this video, we'll explore the true meaning of spiritual awakening, the difference between awakening and true spiritual enlightenment, the challenges that this journey brings, and how you can face these difficulties with courage and wisdom. We'll unpack why suffering and loneliness are often just signs that you're on the right path toward a deeper connection with the spiritual world. If you're ready to better understand what this awakening is all about, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications, or simply like this video. Liking it costs you nothing and helps us share this spiritual content with others just as it has reached you. Now that you've liked the video, I have a question for you. Have you ever felt like you reached a new level of spiritual consciousness, maybe after a profound experience, a deep meditation, or even reading something that deeply resonated with you? A feeling that you were interconnected with everything, sensing that you were part of a greater whole? Let us know in the comments if you've ever felt like this. It might encourage others to share their own experiences and validate their journeys as well. This feeling of awakening is common, but what many don't realize is that this type of awakening is often temporary. So, the question is, how do you know if it's a true awakening or just a fleeting moment that will eventually fade away? Most people who experience a spiritual awakening encounter it temporarily. It comes with intensity, offering a glimpse of what seems like a higher state of connection. These moments often occur during the early stages of spiritual practices, when exposed to new knowledge, or while evolving into a new phase of life. But these awakenings are usually fleeting and don't represent a lasting transformation. Think of it like switching on a light in a dark room, you see, but not clearly enough to sustain constant illumination. Permanent enlightenment, on the other hand, transcends these fleeting moments. Have you ever wondered what the experience of a truly enlightened individual would be like? True enlightenment manifests as a constant connection with a higher consciousness, where a person becomes an integral part of spiritual laws, living in harmony with them, as if the universe and spirit flow continuously through them. Unlike the fleeting awakening, which offers a sense of everything being right, permanent enlightenment requires a constant interaction with the invisible. An enlightened person not only perceives spirits and interacts with them frequently, but they also deeply understand who they truly are. They remember their past lives and the actions they took in the spiritual realm before reincarnating. In short, they gain profound access to the spiritual world. It's important to note, though, that while mediums may see and interact with spirits often, they aren't necessarily enlightened individuals. The difference lies in the elevated wisdom of an enlightened person. Furthermore, the enlightened being has moved beyond karmic debts from past lives, planting only seeds of dharma for their present existence. Mediums, on the other hand, often carry karmic burdens and trials they must resolve before reaching true enlightenment. As for temporary awakenings, they often leave behind discomfort when they fade. It's also worth mentioning that we may experience multiple awakenings throughout our lives, each one nudging us closer to true spiritual enlightenment. If you've only had one awakening so far, there's still a chance for many more, as long as you continue to seek spiritual growth. These temporary awakenings often bring discomfort, confusion, and even a sense of disconnection from the world, because the price of awakening is a more attentive and profound awareness of human suffering, the shadows of your own soul, and the collective struggles. And this is the part most people aren't prepared to face. The real question is, are you ready for this kind of clarity? Have you ever wondered why, after a spiritual awakening, the suffering around you seems to intensify? At first, you might expect a lighter, more serene life, deeply connected to inner peace. But what you likely didn't anticipate is that this awakening can bring an intensified sensitivity to the energies around you, especially the negative ones. And the question arises, is this sensitivity truly a blessing, or does it come with an untold burden? Spiritual awakening opens the door to a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. But here lies the dilemma. Upon awakening, you become more aware of energies that were previously invisible or ignored. This includes not just your own pain, but also the suffering of others and the weight of collective energies. It's as if a hidden layer has been peeled back, and now you can feel everything, including the densest shadows. This is the price of heightened sensitivity. Awakening not only increases your capacity to love and perceive positive energies, but also exposes you to the negative ones. And worse, when you start confronting your own shadow, the part of yourself you've been trying to hide, suffering multiplies, making the path to enlightenment far more challenging than anticipated. The impact is inevitable. As you observe the collective shadows, you can no longer ignore the injustices, the pain, and the negative energies that exist in the world. It can feel overwhelming, as if the burden of others' suffering now rests on your shoulders too. And the question becomes, how can we cope with this increasing suffering? After all, each layer of clarity brings a heavier weight of responsibility. This type of awakening, then, isn't just about finding the light. It's about learning how to live with it, even when it illuminates the darkest corners of everything around you. Are you ready to bear this weight and continue evolving? On one side, the material world with its daily concerns, commitments, and everything that demands your physical attention. On the other side, the spiritual world with its quest for meaning, connection, and a higher truth. But when you begin to perceive these two realities more clearly, the question arises, how can you balance these two forces without losing yourself in the process? After a spiritual awakening, your perception of reality expands. You start to recognize the spiritual laws governing life, and everything around you seems interconnected by a higher force. However, the material reality, where financial needs, relationships, and daily worries dominate, doesn't simply disappear. In fact, it often becomes even more intense as you're now more aware of the disconnect between these two spheres. The challenge is immense. How do you live practically in this world while your soul craves something deeper, something more transcendent? Priorities begin to shift, values transform, and you may often find yourself at odds with what once seemed important. This can create a sense of alienation, of being out of place. And the worst part? The people around you may not understand or share this perspective, leading to significant internal conflict. The clash between the material and the spiritual becomes a constant internal battle. What do you do when your material needs demand attention, but your soul longs for peace and transcendence? As you move forward, it can be difficult to avoid feeling torn in two, unsure of which side to prioritize. And here lies the ultimate question. Is it truly possible to find balance? The spiritual path isn't about denying the material world, but learning how to integrate these two realms harmoniously. But that's just one piece of the process. When we reach a certain level of awareness after awakening, our vision of the world changes, and along with it, the way we relate to others. But here's the big question. How do we deal with karma, spiritual responsibilities, and the emotional burden that comes with this newfound understanding? Spiritual awakening isn't just about illuminating your own life. As you become more aware of spiritual laws, you realize you have a role to play in the evolution of others. The responsibility to help others awaken can feel overwhelming and often pulls you into situations where you weren't even invited. And here's the kicker. The awakened individual is held to a higher standard because, spiritually speaking, to whom much is given, much is required. When you become more sensitive, you start to understand others' suffering on a deeper level, and the obligation to help, to guide, arises almost automatically. This creates a dilemma, because the more you try to do good, the more you feel the weight of your responsibility in the collective evolution process. Awareness brings clarity, but it also brings a burden, an emotional load that is sometimes hard to carry alone. And finding balance in all of this can be challenging, especially since the awakened individual often tries to help those who may not yet be ready to receive help. This can lead to frustration. In addition, it's essential to understand that awakening once doesn't mean you know everything. Humility becomes a crucial practice moving forward. So the question remains, how do you manage this burden? As you help others awaken, you must also confront your own shadows. The true responsibility of the awakened is to learn how to balance this weight without losing themselves in it. Are you ready to take on this challenge, knowing that the price of awareness is the responsibility that comes with it? Have you ever felt that after a spiritual awakening, your thoughts and perceptions drift far from those around you? This spiritual loneliness can be devastating. And the big question is, how do you cope with this sense of isolation when it feels like no one shares what you see and feel? When you awaken spiritually, your worldview changes drastically. Your relationships shift, and so does your place in the world. Thoughts you once shared with friends and family now seem strange, and you feel immersed in loneliness, as if you're living in a parallel universe. This is particularly challenging because explaining this new perspective often leads to misunderstandings. The difficulty in connecting with others can be heartbreaking, and often the easiest solution seems to be pulling away, isolating yourself because most people can't understand what you're going through. But this is when the real journey begins, finding the balance between staying true to yourself and seeking connections with others who can understand. It's also a period where you need to find equilibrium so you don't completely isolate yourself or focus solely on spiritual matters at the expense of the material world. Both aspects need your attention, but in balance. After all, you're incarnated in this physical realm for a reason. But here lies an important key in spiritual loneliness: the search for an aligned community and a greater purpose that transcends the pain of isolation. When you join others on a similar spiritual path, the loneliness dissolves. Finding people who share your vision, challenges, and dreams of spiritual growth can be the remedy for this ache. The secret is that oftentimes loneliness is merely a necessary stage to find a deeper connection with those who genuinely share your journey. The question is, are you willing to walk against the current and trust that, beyond this loneliness, true connection will arise at the right time? This is a practice of faith you must cultivate. Throughout this journey, the suffering and challenges may intensify, and the temptation to give up can grow. But what if I told you that all these trials and triumphs have a higher purpose? That, in truth, suffering is an essential part of the spiritual mission for those who awaken. And what if I told you that you might awaken not just once or twice, but repeatedly as you continue to evolve and learn to live in balance? Believe me, each new awakening will feel more intense than the last. This is a sign that you're on the right path in life. The spiritual path isn't about reaching a state of perfection or living in constant bliss. On the contrary, it's about learning to face adversities and shadows while understanding the deeper purpose behind every challenge. The ultimate purpose of someone spiritually awakened is to illuminate the path for others, not through empty words, but through genuine actions rooted in a profound understanding of spiritual reality. It is in this process that we find the true nobility of the spiritual journey, the ability to keep moving forward even when the obstacles seem insurmountable, knowing that every step taken is a step toward collective evolution. The suffering many awakened individuals endure isn't a punishment, but an opportunity for purification and transformation. By helping others grow spiritually, one's own spirit also evolves. As challenging as it may be, the spiritual path is, in fact, an honor. It transforms us, strengthens us, and gives us a clearer vision of who we truly are. The suffering experienced after awakening is never in vain. It prepares us to carry the light and guide others along this path. If you're going through hardships, know that they are part of this noble and unique journey. The true value of the spiritual path lies not in the destination, but in the transformation that happens with every step. The awakened one's ultimate mission is to be a light in the world, regardless of the challenges, and to find the true reason for being here in this world. Are you ready to continue this journey, knowing that every hardship has a deeper purpose? Remember, if you've had an awakening experience, share it in the comments. It might inspire others to take the same path. On this channel, you're not just a spectator, but a protagonist in transforming your life and the lives of others. Share this video with someone seeking answers or who might benefit from this knowledge. Perhaps this simple gesture could spark a transformation in someone else's life. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to receive more videos like this and other valuable topics in the future. See you in the next video. Peace profound.